There is an invisible wall separating two worlds: what men truly need for happiness and what modern culture dictates our needs should be. For years, there has been an attempt to convince us that the path to the perfect relationship lies through opening up feelings, endless emotional discussions, and turning a man into some version of a girlfriend. But the truth is, men don't need to be fixed. We need our nature to be understood by women and accepted without attempts to translate it into a different language. Many problems in modern couples arise because the male style of caring and communication is considered deficient or in need of correction. Let's look behind the scenes of this mechanic and break down what is actually happening in the head and heart of a man. The loss of identity in pursuit of the ideal. One of the most destructive strategies in a relationship is the attempt to turn a partner into an improvement project. It often starts with small things: choosing different clothes, advising a change in social circles, or obsessive suggestions to swap hobbies for something more prestigious or useful. Behind the facade of good intentions to help him become better often hides a simple refusal to accept a person's true nature because it doesn't fit a pre-made template. A vivid example of this personality substitution is the story of Ethan. When he met Sarah, he was a guy who loved spending weekends in the garage, restoring old muscle cars. This was his outlet, his way of meditating, and his connection to a world of tangible results. But Sarah decided that this dirty and useless activity didn't fit the image of the successful man she wanted to see by her side. Gradually, she replaced his garage days with gallery visits and social dinners, convinced him that his old friends were dragging him down, and completely changed his wardrobe. 3 years later, Ethan looked like a perfect picture from a magazine. He said the right things, visited the right places, and behaved exactly as Sarah wanted. But inside him, a ringing emptiness had settled. He no longer recognized himself in the mirror, having turned into a prop for her life and losing his inner spark. When a woman tries to improve a man, she often doesn't realize she is methodically destroying the very strength that attracted her in the first place. It is vital for a man to be valued for his essence and his passion for his work, not for how pliable he can be in the hands of a personality designer. Ultimately, when such a project is finished, the woman often finds herself next to an empty shell, deprived of the very masculine core that once made that person unique. Physical intimacy as an emotional foundation. Few people realize that for a man, intimacy is not just a finish line or a physical release. It is, above all, the only space where he can finally allow himself to take off his heavy armor. Society assumes that feelings are the territory of women and men are only interested in the physical side, but this is a huge misconception that has prevented couples from achieving true unity for years. For us, intimacy is the most clear and honest language in which we speak of our love, loyalty, and trust without unnecessary words. In these moments, we feel completely safe, accepted for who we are, when the rest of the world with its endless demands and expectations finally stops pressing down on us. In this silence and unity, a man finds confirmation that he is valuable in himself, not just as a provider or protector. However, this fragile harmony is instantly destroyed when intimacy becomes a subject of negotiation or a market relationship. In some couples, intimacy becomes a currency or a reward for good behavior, which completely kills the essence of the sacred bond. When intimacy becomes transactional on the principle of, if you do this, you get that, a man stops feeling like a loved partner and starts feeling like a participant in a cold barter deal. We vitally need intimacy without preconditions or manipulation as the foundation upon which everything else is built. It is important to understand that for a man, a refusal of intimacy is not just a reference to a lack of mood, but a painful emotional rejection of his most innermost self. It is a blow to his confidence and the invisible thread that connects him to the woman. When this connection is broken, a man instinctively retreats into a protective cocoon from which it becomes harder to emerge each time. But where intimacy remains a space of unconditional acceptance, A man finds colossal strength, becoming an immovable support for his woman, ready for any achievement for her sake. The quiet harbor of male friendship. Male communication often causes sincere bewilderment in women. "What did you talk about for 3 hours?" she asks, expecting a detailed report on feelings and plans. "Nothing," he answers calmly, and it's the pure truth. We don't always need to process problems or analyze every movement of the soul to feel real support. For a man, spending time together is a way to synchronize on a deep level without overloading each other with extra words or dragging to the surface things that haven't settled inside yet. Take the example of Jack and Ryan. When Ryan hit a serious crisis in his business, Jack didn't call him for a serious talk over coffee. Instead, they just went fishing. They spent 6 hours staring at the water, trading only a few casual phrases about gear. Jack didn't ask, "How are you feeling?" or "What are you going to do?" He was just there. And for Ryan, this was the best therapy. He knew his friend was beside him, that the world was still standing, and that he wasn't alone in his situation. In this shared silence, there was no crushing tension. On the contrary, it gave Ryan the chance to finally exhale and temporarily stop being the one obligated to carry the entire weight of responsibility for his decisions. Women often mistake such behavior for coldness, indifference, or an unwillingness to support a loved one in a difficult moment. They are used to thinking that if there are no long emotional confessions, there is no genuine closeness. But male friendship is a special architecture of presence. We don't need to dig into each other's wounds to help them heal faster. We recover through shared action, through silence, and through the realization that there are people ready to just be there when life's storm hits. Such nonverbal connection creates that very solid foundation on which male solidarity stands, needing no extra explanations, excuses, or public confessions. Emotional voyeurism versus true empathy. Sometimes, what is presented as female care and a desire to help him open up is actually a hidden need for emotional stimulation. There is a category of people who literally feed on other people's crises. They need to know all the details of your breakup or the specifics of a conflict with management not to help, but to live through the drama like a gripping TV series. This is a kind of emotional consumption where personal information becomes social currency. A woman who knows everything about everyone gains unspoken power in her circle. She can sigh sympathetically and give advice that actually makes the situation worse because her subconscious benefits from the plot continuing to develop. Men intuitively feel this trap, realizing that their sincerity could just become another plot point for discussion. For us, there is a clear, almost tangible line between genuine empathy and cold curiosity masked as participation. That is why we often shut down when we see our experiences being excavated for idle interest rather than real support. When a man's personal drama turns into a tool for someone else's emotional stimulation, he loses the most important thing, the sense of safety and trust in his environment. In such moments, it is vital for us that our boundaries are respected, not stormed. A man will talk about what matters only when he is ready himself, and only with someone he trusts 100%. Attempts to pull confessions out of him by force or manipulation only create one desire to build the wall even higher and more secure. True intimacy does not tolerate hacking. It flourishes only where a man is given the right to silence and the confidence that his vulnerability will not be used as a script for someone else's game. The Da Vinci Code, the trap of hidden meanings. Male communication is a straight line, while female communication is often a complex labyrinth with many levels and hidden meanings. The difference in these approaches creates a classic decoding conflict, where simple messages are subjected to excessive analysis. When a man says, "I'm hungry," he means exclusively the physical need for food. He isn't hinting that you're a bad homemaker, nor is he expressing hidden dissatisfaction with the quality of your life together. For a man, a word is primarily a tool for conveying a specific fact, not a coded riddle requiring deep psychological analysis. However, because of the difference in perception, many are inclined to look for a double bottom in these simple phrases. If a man, being busy, doesn't reply to a photo of breakfast with an enthusiastic message, suspicions may arise in a partner's soul like, "He's no longer interested in my life." In reality, he might have just been maximally focused on a current work task and perceived the photo as a pleasant fact that didn't require immediate discussion. In such moments, the attempt to find a hidden reproach or coldness where there is none only builds a wall of misunderstanding out of thin air, turning an ordinary day into a series of mutual grievances. It is vital for us that our words are taken literally, without attempts to read between the lines for something that was never there. Men do not use subtext as a tool for everyday communication. We prefer clarity. If we say everything is fine, it means everything is truly fine. If we say we need time, it means we just need time to recover. The constant search for hidden meanings and grievances where simplicity reigns creates psychological tension that literally drains the energy out of a relationship. A man's life is full of struggle and overcoming in the outside world, so at home, he most of all wants simplicity, honesty, and predictability. Ultimately, trusting a man's direct word is the shortest path to genuine harmony, allowing both partners to feel safe and calm. Respect as the highest form of love. If you ask a man what is more important to him, feeling loved or feeling respected, most will choose respect without hesitation. In the male understanding of the world, these concepts are practically inseparable, yet respect stands at the top of the priority list. For a man, being loved but deprived of respect is a painful form of pity that doesn't provide a sense of fulfillment or strength within the union. Such respect manifests primarily through the recognition of our competence. These are the moments when a partner sincerely trusts our decision, even if she would have acted differently herself. It is the willingness not to double-check how we handled a household task or how we drive the car. Constant corrections and doubts about our abilities are perceived as an undermining of the foundations of trust. After all, when every action is followed by petty control, it strips a man of his status as an equal partner and turns him into an executor whose skills are always under suspicion. This difference in perception is easy to trace through simple examples. When Brian is trying to fix an appliance and his wife Melissa stands nearby asking, "Are you sure you're doing that right? Maybe we should call a specialist." She sincerely believes she is caring about the quality of the result. But Brian hears in that question not care, but a sentence. "I don't believe you are capable of this. You are failing. We vitally need to be believed in." A man is capable of incredible feats if he knows his woman considers him capable and strong. No, if he is constantly subjected to suitability tests, he eventually just stops taking initiative, choosing the path of a passive observer. Ultimately, sincere respect from a woman is not just a nice bonus, but the very oxygen that feeds a man's ambition and desire to make his family's life better. Vulnerability and its consequences. Modern psychology actively promotes the idea that men should be maximally vulnerable, promising that sincerity will be the key to true closeness. "Just tell me about your fears," we often hear from partners, but here lies a dangerous trap. Many men have learned from bitter experience that what is said in a moment of deep candor can be turned into a weapon and used against them in the heat of the next argument. This honesty trap creates an invisible barrier, forcing a man to weigh every word 3 times before baring his soul to someone. A classic example of this situation is the story of Robert. When he confessed to his girlfriend that he wasn't sure about the stability of his current position at the company, he was looking for understanding and a temporary breathing spell. Instead, he received a wave of her own anxiety. She began to doubt their shared plans, asking if he could maintain their usual standard of living, and indirectly reproaching him for not being reliable enough. His vulnerability didn't bring them closer. It became a source of her panic, which he ultimately had to soothe. Thus, the attempt to find support turned into a double burden for him. He was not only left alone with his professional difficulties, but was also forced to spend his remaining strength, stabilizing his woman's emotional state. Men often hide their fears not because they are closed off or cold, but because they are protecting the peace of their family. We understand that our role is to be the pillar, and any crack in that foundation could cause the whole house to collapse. We need a space where we can be honest without the risk that our sincerity will become a reason for losing respect as leaders. True intimacy for a man is not just an opportunity to speak out, but the confidence that his temporary weakness will not shake his authority and will be accepted with wise, calm, not reproach. Recognition of contribution, the quiet heroism of the everyday. Male love is often expressed in things that don't seem romantic at first glance. It's the timely check of the technical condition of your house or car. It's working in a difficult position to provide a better future for the children. It's the readiness to take on the most difficult and unpleasant tasks. It's not just fulfilling duties, but a silent promise of safety and stability that a man gives his family every day. For him, this everyday heroism is the most honest way to say "I love you," requiring nothing in return but understanding. These acts of care are often taken for granted. Many expect flowers and poems, what they are used to seeing in movies, and when they don't get that, they conclude there are no feelings. But they don't see the love in the fact that for years a man has put the interests of the family above his own desires. In pursuit of on-screen special effects, it's easy to devalue the fact that a reliable shoulder and confidence in tomorrow are worth much more than any beautiful gestures. We need these quiet manifestations of love to be noticed. A man feels fulfilled when his contribution to the common well-being is recognized as valuable. We don't demand a standing ovation, but a sincere acknowledgement that our work matters is the fuel that runs male ambition and the desire to do even more. When his efforts find a response, it becomes a powerful incentive for him to overcome any obstacles for the sake of those dear to him. A simple, "I appreciate what you do for us," can turn a heavy burden of responsibility into a joyful and conscious path of a true protector. Personal space and the right to silence. Sometimes a man just needs time to be in his inner space. This could be a hobby, sports, or just silent contemplation. In these moments, we aren't leaving the relationship, we are simply restoring our internal balance. For us, this is a kind of mental workshop where the stresses of the day are processed in silence and important decisions are made. For many, silence is associated with a problem. Questions begin. What are you thinking about? Are you upset about something? This only increases the desire to shut down. The more a man is pressured for immediate communication, the stronger his need for solitude becomes. Attempting to forcibly pull a man out of this state is like a sudden awakening during deep sleep. It doesn't create closeness. It only triggers an automatic flash of irritation. Respect our right to silence. It doesn't mean you are indifferent to us. It means that right now, our internal system is going through a reboot. A man who is allowed to have his space returns to his partner much more attentive and loving. A woman's ability to calmly accept this temporary silence relieves the man of unnecessary guilt and only strengthens the foundation of mutual trust. Ultimately, such distance is not a wall, but a necessary bridge that allows a man to gather strength to once again become a reliable support and source of warmth for his beloved woman. The art of understanding each other. Relationships are not a competition in whose way of perceiving the world is more correct. Men and women truly do speak different languages, but that doesn't mean one of them is broken. We are two different parts of one whole, and our strength is in that difference. The true depth of a relationship begins where the attempt to remake the other to your standards ends. Men do not need to be remade into a female model. We need recognition of our unique role. We need trust in our ability to solve problems, respect for our work, and an understanding of our way of showing tenderness through actions, not just through words. Harmony is not the absence of differences, but the ability to turn them into a shared support for your family. When a woman stops looking at a man as an unfinished version of herself and starts seeing in him a reliable, strong, and in his own way emotional partner, real magic happens. Conflicts give way to cooperation, and distrust to deep, sincere attachment. Every small step toward understanding today can become the foundation for unshakable trust tomorrow. I am very interested to hear your opinion. Men, where do you most often feel misunderstood? Women, are you ready to look at male behavior as another form of expressing feelings? Let's discuss this in the comments. It's time we start hearing each other without imposed templates. Only then can we build bonds that will be truly strong. If you want to deeply understand the hidden mechanisms of male and female psychology and build relationships based on knowledge rather than guesswork, be sure to subscribe to the Psycharia channel. Here we talk about what really matters, honestly and without embellishment. Your voice matters. Write what you think, and let's find the path to mutual understanding together.